Hey guys, so I'm going to work on the FroKnowsPhoto RawEdit number 62. Shouldn't take too long. It's going to be a pretty basic edit with a crop. I'm going to put an interesting crop onto it. So let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drag it into my Photoshop, which should open it up in Camera Raw. And here it is. It's a portrait that I'm guessing Jared took and of this model. I'm going to do some basic editing in Camera Raw, and then I'm going to bring it into Photoshop and do most of it there. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to enable my lens profile, which, wow, what lens was he using? He was using a 50mm 1.4D on his Nikon D3S. Look at the vignetting on that lens, and the lens correction actually gets rid of that and a little bit of the distortion. Wow, that has a lot of vignetting on that camera. Surprising. Okay, so that's basic. I'm going to change my white balance. I'm guessing it's probably going to be in either daylight or cloudy. I don't think shade. Shade might be going too warm. It's actually not bad. I don't mind the warm, but I'm going to go cloudy, and then I can always warm it up. And I'm wondering if this might be one for black and white, but I don't think so. I think I'm going to stay with color. Let's see, what else can we add here? Saturation, maybe just a tad. Vibrance, just a tad. Clarity, just a little bit. Blacks, I like adding a little bit of blacks. Let me see my fill light. Just a little bit. Brightness and contrast. So nothing too fancy with the Camera Raw editing. It must have been cold. She's got some rosy red cheeks. We might knock down that red a little bit. But all in all, beautiful picture. Let's bring it in. I'm going to bring it into Photoshop holding down my Shift key so that it opens it up as a smart object, not just a regular image. It should come in. There it is. So, okay. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to crop it, and I made a quick tip, which you can go to using the link above, where I talk about using either the rule of thirds or the Fibonacci spiral to do your crops. And check out the video. It's a quick little video. It's more detailed on how to do it or why to do it. And so for now, I'm just going to bring in my Fibonacci spiral guide. Save so that I can show you guys what, so I can crop it. I'm just going to change the color of that. Why can't I find it? Oh, here we go. I'm just going to change the color of it so that I can see it in this image. Just make it green. Okay, so let's see. First thing, we got to rotate it. So, and this is the this Fibonacci spiral is based on the golden ratio, which I tend to like more than just the regular rule of thirds for some reason. It gives me better results when I crop it to these. And with her, it actually is going to be pretty interesting because it looks like I can get her kind of fitting in this spiral pretty nice. See how she kind of has this, the spiral has this motion, and she fits into it really well. I think I'm going to try to get her eye, try to get her eye right about on that point. Maybe her eye will fit right there. Don't want to crop that much of her off. I think I want to leave more space above and below. So I think I'm going to go somewhere. See, I want to get her face kind of, her eye kind of right here, and then her fitting into this spiral, and then her eye is kind of using this little one of these squares right here. I think that's what I'm going to go with, and I'm going to crop it to that. I'm going to use my crop tool. And it should just snap right to my guide. Let's do that again. Should just snap right to my guy, right there. So now I can get rid of this Fibonacci spiral. And let's see, do I like that crop better? I do like that crop better, actually. Okay, so let's go back to it. I like that crop better, so that's what we're going to work on. Cool. All right, so now the first thing I'm going to do is, I'm going to get rid of that. Make a new folder. I'm going to call it PSD Adjustments. And I'm going to go to make a new folder. I'm going to call it Skin. So I'm going to retouch the skin first. I'm going to make a new layer, call it Healing. Inside the skin, I'm going to use my healing brush. And I'm just going to clean up a little bit of these little specks that she has on her face, just to clean her up a little bit. You don't have to get rid of all of them because you want her to still have some of her own personality, but it depends on how much retouching you want to do. Some people like really clean images. Some people like to leave a little bit of the reality of the image. It's all personal preference to me. I'm just going to clean her up just because I like to have pretty clean images. Oops, that didn't work. Okay, leave that there for now. And let's see, I just like, I mean, I'm not going to clean up every single little thing because I don't go that far, but I do like cleaning up a lot of the, just the bigger ones, the more easily seen kind of blemishes that she might have. And some of her wrinkles as well. You can always bring down some of these wrinkles. And a lot of these wrinkles are not really there. They're makeup wrinkles, I call them, because sometimes when they put too much makeup on, you can see wrinkles that you wouldn't normally be able to see. She's actually a beautiful model, and she has got some pretty nice skin, actually. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do with a healing brush. Next thing, I'm going to make a new layer, call it Makeup. And I'm going to add my own makeup. And I just call it makeup because what I do is I'm just going to spray it on with an airbrush at a very low opacity. If you hit the 0.5, it'll move your flow to 5%. And the reason I'm going to do this is because it'll soften up her skin, because this lens is really sharp and is showing all of her pores. And I want to soften that up just a little bit. And also, what I can do with this is get rid of that really red cheeks that she has just by adding a little bit of regular tone color. And then you just want to make sure you select areas of color close to where you're airbrushing. And I'm just kind of airbrushing on top of her skin. See how it got rid of a little bit of that red skin tone or red color she had? So I'm just kind of painting lower. I don't want to get rid of all the red because, I mean, it does show reality. Her red, I mean, she must have been pretty cold or something. But I do want to lower the intensity of that red in there. So, and you just got to be careful. You just got to go little by little, and as you do this more often, you'll get better and better. And then don't worry about going too far, because I can always lower my opacity at the end and bring back some of the details. So, let's do a quick before and after here. Yeah, so, I mean, I went a little too far, but like I said, I'm going to lower my opacity to about, I don't know, I guess 70. And I did have a little bit of an overspray over here where you can see I sprayed into the darkness that isn't supposed to have makeup. So I'm going to make a little mask, and I'm just going to use my 0, just clean that out so that there's no overspray over here in the red, or I'm sorry, in the black over here. Same as over here. I'm just going to make sure I don't have any overspray anywhere. Okay, so let's see what we've done so far. Yeah, definitely cleaned up her face quite a bit, and looking good. So that's about as far as I'm going to take it in the skin. Next, I'm going to work on her. Let's work on her lips next, just because it'll be quick. Basically, with her lips, all I want to do is add a little bit of color. I'm going to use a curve, use my red, and I'm going to add a little bit of red, just a little bit, and remove a little bit of blue so that it's not so purpley red. It's a more reddish red, I guess you could say. Let's see where my green is. Red. Having a little too much blue, I think. Maybe a little too much green. I think that's gonna work. Wow, that messed up everything, right? But again, I'm gonna fill my mask to black, just holding down the Option Delete. Option Delete fills to foreground. Command Delete fills to background. That's these colors right here. So I filled my mask to black, and then I'm gonna switch colors, and I'm gonna paint that mask. I'm gonna paint white into the mask where I want it to show. And I went too far, but again, I'm going to lower the opacity and it'll bring it right back. So, just going to work on her lip color a little bit, like that. And now I'm going to lower that opacity and just add a little red. And the reason I went a little more red is because I wanted to tie back into her, she's got this red coat and red scarf and everything, so she had a little bit too much blue in her lips, because again she's probably cold. So I just made it a little redder to match better. Let's see. So now, the next thing I want to work on, actually what I do want to do is I want to do, I'm going to pause the video for a second. Okay, I'm back. We're still working on her lips. I'm going to make a new layer, and I'm going to call it Highlights. And I'm going to set that layer to Overlay. And I'm just going to, with a very low flow, I'm going to put my flow to 5%. I just want to make sure my color tool is white. I just want to add a little bit of highlights where she's already got highlights, but just want to intensify them just a little bit to make her lips look a little wet, or a little more wet. And then I like adding just a little bit of reflected light in the top lip. And it's very subtle, but it makes a difference when you look at it from far away. And I went a little too harsh right there, so I'm gonna mask out a little bit of it. Okay, so that's good. Yeah, so it just added a little bit of making her lips look a little wetter. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to work on is her eyes. Make a new layer. And with her eyes, all I really want to do is I want to enhance the color she's already got. So I'm going to make a curve, and I'm going to brighten and contrast her eyes just a little bit. Like that, and then I'm going to fill the curve with black, use my brush tool. With the B key selects the brush tool, with X key switches your foreground to background, and then I'm going to paint in the white over the eyes just so that that mask reveals what I did just over where I'm painting white. Okay, so that's what I'm doing there. I'm going to duplicate this, and not because of that, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of these adjustments. And I'm going to add a little bit of blue and a little bit of green. Way too much green. A little more blue. Just to give her eyes just a little more pop. Just a little bit. Just a little teeny more pop. Okay, so that is almost all I'm going to do with her eyes. I could brighten up the whites of her eyes, but I don't think I'm gonna. I think I'm gonna leave it like that. Next, I'm gonna do is I'm going to work on her hair a little bit, and all I really need to do on her hair is I just want to add a couple of highlights. She's already got these highlights. I'm wondering if you used a flash on this. Actually, let me check the file info on here. Let's see what he did. Camera data. He shot it at 1/500th at f1.4, ISO 800, 50 millimeter. Strobe. Okay, so she did have some flash firing. Okay. Yeah, it looks like he definitely shot some flash, which has given her hair a lot of these like really cool highlights and stuff. I'm just going to enhance those a little bit. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to make a layer. I'm going to call it hair highlights. Highlights. And I'm going to set that to overlay. And basically I'm going to do the same thing I did to her lips. I'm just going to paint in some white. Oops. Gotta go lower my flow to 5%. If you use your number keys, by the way, if you use like 5 is 50%, 6 is 60% up here in the flow. 0, 5 is 5%. So, and even that I'm gonna do 0, 2. I'm just gonna add a couple of highlights where these highlights are already there, but I'm just gonna make them a little richer so that they pop up just a little bit more off of the background or her hair color, just to bring some life back into her hair, which is, it's already kind of there because he used a flash. A lot of this is you can do when you don't use a flash and you want to enhance it a little bit. You can do these tricks, but with the flash it's basically already doing that. But I just wanted to add a little bit of life in there. See, I just added a little bit, and that's pretty much most of the work I'm going to do. I might do a luminosity gradient map. I'm going to do a gradient map, and actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a new group called effects, and this is where I make a folder called effects. This is where I do overall effects. So each one of these parts, you know, obviously represents each part, and then the overall effects. So a gradient map, and I'm going to do a black to white. And then I'm going to put it on luminosity, and it gives it a really cool contrast that I like. I'm going to lower that to about 80%, probably, maybe even less. No, probably like 70% probably. Yeah, I like that. I like the way that it just gives it a little contrast, but it gives it a more interesting contrast than just your regular basic contrast. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sharpen this. And how am I going to sharpen this? Well, I'm going to remove all of my adjustments. I'm going to take this, I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to rasterize it because right now it's a smart object. And then I'm going to go to Filter, Other, High Pass. I'm going to go 3. No, I'm going to probably go 2 pixels, and you'll see what it does. It creates that, and then when I put this on overlay, it'll really sharpen up her face. But you got to be very careful because look what it did to her pores. Look what I mean, it sharpened everything. So remember, we have those adjustments, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this sharpen thing, and I'm going to mask out the spots where I don't want it to be too sharp, like skin. You don't want skin to be too sharp because it'll show all the wrinkles and all the pores and all that stuff. So skin you usually want to keep fairly soft, and you just want to sharpen, like I like sharpening the eyes and the lips and the hair. And so right now I just made a mask that covered everything, but I'm going to come back and I'm going to paint with black so that it shows that mask. Paint with white so that it shows what I did. See how it enhanced those lips, and then same with the eyes. So it really sharpens those eyes. I like to sharpen the eyebrows. And then her hair should have gotten quite a bit of sharpening. Yeah, so there we go. So that's looking pretty good. Did it sharpen the background too much? Sometimes you gotta be careful because it sharpens that noise in the background, and you gotta be really careful. So what I'll do is I'll usually mask out this sharpen thing in the background. And I'm doing kind of a very quick job here for the video, but usually you might want to be a little more detailed so you don't you don't want to unsharpen her hair. Just got to be careful not to get too close to her hair. But that should be good enough. Yeah. Okay, so I think that's kind of where I'm going to leave it, guys. It looks good. I like it. Great image. Let's do a before and after. Actually, this sharpen needs to go in here. Okay. So let's do a before and after. I'm going to go completely black. Oops. Tab so I can see my tools, and then I'm going to do a before and after. Yeah, I think it really kind of made it a little better. Just cleaned it up a little bit. I didn't do too much work to it, just basic retouching. But I think it really made a difference for after, before, after. So I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe. Check out my channel. I got some great quick tips, and I'm going to be bringing lots more content. So stay tuned. Thank you very much, and I will see you next time.